who cares what these celebrities think? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? And I'm like, well, millions of people do. Howdy, folks. I'm Alfonso Rachel with my buddy Bill Whittle. This is the Virtue Signal. And let's see, I caught Tom MacDonald. I guess his name is Tom MacDonald. I guess I'm old fuddy-duddy, man. I hadn't heard of Tom MacDonald. And Tom, he's got this, I guess he's been in the rap game for a little while. And but his tweet that a lot of people, particularly on the right wing, are going gaga over is the one that we're going to show you right now. Check it out.
My generation got our driver's license at 14, had a job at 16, and moved out at 17. Your generation is still trying to define what a woman is and living in your parents' basement until you're 35. My generation grew up on uncensored everything. Your generation censors everything. My generation shot guns, rode dirt bikes, and went camping for fun. Your generation stares at your phone all day and dances on the internet in your sister's underwear. My generation knew how to make decisions, important ones. Your generation can't even decide which bathroom to use. My generation wants the truth and the facts, no matter how uncomfortable they are. Your generation is so offended that the truth and the facts don't support whatever outlandish bull is floating around in your imagination that you've started labeling everything that you don't agree with as misinformation. My generation has 2 genders. Your generation has 89,347 and counting. My generation judges people on whether or not they're an asshole. Your generation judges people on race, weight, religion, sex, gender, financial standing, something that they tweeted 20 years ago in grade 8 when they were drunk for the first time. Your generation cancels everything you don't agree with. My generation doesn't give a about the things we don't agree with. Beat it, loser. My generation fights for the right to party. Your generation doesn't fight, doesn't like having rights, and doesn't like to party. What the is wrong with you guys?
Makes you feel all ooey gooey inside, don't it? Yeah. Okay. So I do like a lot of what he's saying. And a lot of people think, Bill, that he's a Gen Xer. He's not. I don't know what generation he's talking about or taking credit for, but he sounds like, cause like, especially when he invokes like the Beastie Boys, that's my generation, man. That's Gen X. So it's almost like, hey man, are you trying to take, you biting our rhymes, man. You biting Generation X's rhymes. You can't be doing that, man. But like I said, first up, I do appreciate a lot of what he's saying. He is saying a lot of truth about, whether it be millennials, which I reckon he is. He's 1988, so he's a millennial. And which I guess is basically the younger sibling of Generation X. And then you have your Gen Zers, which would be the children of Generation X. So, but he's not one of us. And not saying it to be all exclusive. You're not one of us or anything like that. I don't want to be like all snooty, cliquish and whatnot, but it's just the way it is. But I wanted to ask you, what can we appreciate from what it is that he's saying in that video?
Well, first of all, watching it filled me with joy. Filled me with joy and surprise. And the surprise comes from the fact that I first saw this guy and I thought, this is the kind of guy I should be telling to get off my lawn. And there he is standing there telling other people to get off my lawn. So that made me happy. The thing that's so striking about this is, as you mentioned, is how young this guy is. And what I am able to extrapolate from that is that every generation in human history has felt that they're better than the next generation, that the next generation is weak and soft and stupid and lazy and all. It's human nature. But what this is telling me is that this general biological imperative of thinking that the people who come after you are not as tough as you are, which is good actually when you think about it, it means life is improving. That there seems to be like this kind of steady line of, the best way I ever heard this thing I'm trying to describe explained was in a book, strange book, and it said that there was probably a time back when they were marching around the walls of Jericho, and some flinty old Israelite sergeant said, "Trumpets! I remember when we used to hack down the walls with our bare fists." Right, that kind of thing. Right, it's always easier for the next generation. But clearly, what this guy is saying is No, he's young enough so that there is a sharp break, not a spectrum, not a slope, a drop between a certain age group, because he doesn't seem old enough to be sitting in a chair yelling, "Get off my lawn," the way that I am. And he feels the exact same way that I do. In fact, I felt like he was speaking for me. The guy's got, you said 88, right? So he's 30 years younger than me. He's half my age. And he feels exactly the way I do about this current Gen Z phenomenon. And the thing I keep coming back to is that the Gen Z phenomenon, the Gen Zers didn't ask to be raised this way, but something happened. And it happened during the Obama years, That's when things really started to institutionalize a lot of these destructive ideas, unionize them, And then now, the most radical people I see, I've become a fan of a guy on YouTube guy called, he's got a channel called Odin's Men, where he looks at TikTok videos. The guy's a former Marine. He's my age or older. And watching a lot of current TikTok videos through his channel, because I don't have the strength to do it by myself, makes me realize that the people who are the most radical,
are right here.
We are going to take your children away from you, and we're going to raise them our way, and there's nothing you and your guns can do about it. It seems to me like every single one of these people are actual teachers that are actually in school teaching, And this is inconceivable to me, but it's clearly true. You see these teachers saying, "Oh, so Florida's got a don't say gay law, doesn't it?" Well, actually, it doesn't, but we'll play along. You talk about all the secret ways that they manage to get the message in their classroom. Here's how I've hidden the pride flag so that the fascists under DeSantis won't, interrupt my program of remolding your kids away from you and your fascist, image. This thing is relatively new, this thing. And seeing how somebody who's 30 years younger than me was responding to it the same way that I did is telling me that, like I said, that this isn't just a standard kind of a next generation kind of thing. He's seeing the same kind of things that I'm seeing, and that is that things have taken a dramatic turn for the worse in a very short period of time.
Indeed, man. So yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that somebody has this epiphany and saying the things that we've been saying ever since he was in grade school. So it's like, hey, it's almost like, man, you've been watching have you been watching our videos and decided you're gonna put some beats to it? But anyway, we've been saying this stuff for a while. But like I said, I'm glad that he's seeing these things this way. A big part of my contention with it though is that I can't be a part of a generation talking about the next generation and how bad, or how off the deep end that they've gotten or anything like that, and sit there and boast about my generation did this and my generation did that and my generation did this. But the sad thing is that the thing that I cannot boast about is passing that on to the next generation. We dropped the ball there. We can't, You know what I'm saying? Aren't we supposed to be like the adults in the room who are supposed to be able to herd these cats in and say, hey, man, this is how it's supposed to be? I don't want to be the person who says that this generation is messed up. I want to be able to say they're doing it better. But I can't say that. And they're not doing it better because we didn't teach them, right? We shipped them off to other people to teach them who are screwed up. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we did that. So I can't, it's even with me, man. And I used to be a teacher. And I taught martial arts. I even taught martial arts, at college for a moment. But you know what? One, let me put it like this. I used to, on my brochures, I had a pentagram, right? Upside down pentagram. Looked like Baphomet, right? Looked like Baphomet, and it had the symbols in Hanzi or in Chinese. And it had the symbols for, the 5 animals, Shaolin. Now, I decided that I would make that for myself. But the bottom line was that the image was satanic. But I would try to justify it. Now, here it is. I'm expecting that people should send their kids to me to influence them. How self-righteous and selfish was that? So I have to even admit, even in my day, when I had influence over children, I was a person who should not have had influence over them. So, and I remember even there was a parent. She really enjoyed my message, though. That in terms of like, the discipline and all that sort of stuff. She really enjoyed that. And she was like, I would love it if you came and you taught at my school, right? I came to find out that it was King's something. It was a Christian school. So I went there to go teach, to talk, with the principal and stuff like that. And he asked me if I was a believer, and I said no. Right? Man, it was almost like he wanted to cry, because it was like, this one of my students and teachers. I mean, she adores you. She thinks that your teachings are amazing. But if your teachings are not based on this, what are you really teaching? And for me, I was offended. I was like, what's wrong with my message? So what about where the message is coming from? So what? And then looking back on it, I had to realize, it's like, look, man, my message really was not solid. My message was it was more self-based than anything else. And I really shouldn't have had, that kind of influence without this. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that they didn't learn anything useful from me, or some sort of direction, but it's built on sand though. So all I'm saying is, Bill, it's like, I'm looking at, what my generation had. Like my generation wasn't, we weren't saints. I mean, we had transgenderism back in the 80s. We had Culture Club, had Dead or Alive. We had the Rocky Horror Picture Show. We had that stuff going on.
Yeah, all that stuff. Fun. Now that you mention it, yeah.
We had all that stuff,
and nobody had the slightest problem with that.
Right? But the thing is, that is the insidious seduction of it. It gets in. And it will turn into a problem. I mean, man, I can recite every flipping song from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? I can sing Frank-N-Furter's jams like nobody's business. But at the same time, I realize, it's like, look, man, really that's not healthy. It was a time in my life, and I had fun and all that sort of stuff. But, at the same time, I can't deny where it leads. I can't deny that. So anyway, that's so far, that's my ramblings on it. But what do you think, man?
Well, I think so. If I had to really put it into words, I'd have to say, your mission is a failure. Your lifestyle's too extreme. I'm your new commander. You now are my prisoner. We return to Transylvania. Prepare the transit beam. That's what I would say.
You went riff-raff on me. Oh, my goodness. I want you to imagine Bill sitting there and underneath where you're seeing he's got on heels.
I think, look, everybody's allowed to make, not only are you allowed to make mistakes when you're young, that's what being young is for. I've said so many times that when I was in my 20s surrounded by theater people, I passionately believed in things I knew nothing about. My first vote was for McGovern because he said he would raise taxes. And that was not a problem for me because I wasn't paying any taxes. But I was never anti-American, I was never anti-military, and I was never anti-business. In other words, I was badly misinformed, uninformed, uneducated, or whatever, but my heart was in the right place. And the same with you. Your story about, where did this teaching come from and the whole pentagram thing, these are things that are mistakes of young people. And wisdom does not come quickly or easily as a general rule, but your heart's in the right place. And that's why people who did have a strong moral code were so attracted to your message because it was a good message. You may not have had the understanding of the substrata of your moral code, but it was there, and your heart was in the right place. In our other episode this week, we talked about a little memorial that was made for Ashley Babbitt on the just outside the Capitol, and how some woman came up and started singing F Ashley Babbitt and kicking over the things and talking about, just basically destroying, a memorial to this person. That person is also in error, as we were, but her heart is not in the right place. And neither are the hearts of the people who are determined to take children away from their parents and raise them in their own image. And to me, that's the fundamental issue with young people. Good eggs can make some bad decisions. Bad eggs never make good decisions.
Indeed, man. And and my other issue is something I've been trying to tell Republican voters for a long time in terms of, and we both have, the cultural approach to all this. Now, this is Tom MacDonald is somebody who's representing in culture, particularly entertainment culture, which is going to be pop culture. And these things have a lot of influence and they have a lot of sway with people. And
Good.
for a long time, I've been trying to tell Republicans, because their response is so often, who cares what these celebrities think? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? And I'm like, well, millions of people do. And that's something that you don't want to be sour grapes about. And you need representatives in the culture. And it's like this whole thing of waiting for, this political messiah to come in and fix and change everything. And now, this person comes in and he's got all the tattoos and stuff like that and using foul language and whatnot, but he's become like this darling, because he has said these things. And I'm like, okay, it is what it is. And it's like, why is it taken now? There's something I even remember when I would do interviews on Fox News, I would try to tell them, don't put me on there as a pundit only, or a commentator. I'm a musician. I'm the drummer for 20 Pound Sledge, and they didn't want to do it because they just wanted to put me on there as a comment, not even make an introduction of me at all. Hey, here's just this. It was like there was never any sort of news or article or report about me. It was just, hey, here's a black guy to refute what other black people are saying.
Exactly.
And it was like, don't do that.
And they didn't want to go to the trouble or the time to find out why.
Right. That was just what it was. I was like a prop. And so that being said, I'm like, look, make the culture connection. Don't just have me on there as just some black guy who makes commentaries on the right wing. I'm a musician. Artists have a lot of sway in the culture, but you don't want to get out there and be like, I'm an artist. You should listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to. That wasn't the point. But people are going to listen to artists, Mm-hmm. So it's like, let's start it's not about promoting me. It's just starting to make that cultural connection. And it was just something that was overlooked for all time. And now, look at it now. It's like, oh, Kanye said this. Ooh, this celebrity said that. And listen, and because they said something, halfway sounding conservative. Now all of a sudden they care what they think when they were just saying we don't care what these celebrities think. So I've always, had issues about that, and I'm glad they're catching on something. Maybe it didn't catch on with me, but I guess now it's catching on somewhere. But be careful, folks, because even when you go to the guy's page, like I said, his heart's in the right place. Pray he receives the Lord's peace and truth. But it's kind of sideways when, you go to his page and he's got like baby gear, like stuff that you could buy for your babies. And the shirt says, what is it? The Hangover Gang. And he tells you flat out, what is the Hangover Gang? Well, the Hangover Gang was when, we used to get drunk and we would wake up hangover. So this is the thing that you want to introduce your kid to. You want your kid to have a shirt on it that says Hangover Gang. It's like, those kind of things, they seem subtle. They seem cute. But that is how the doom gets in the door. And then we're going to be wondering, how is it that the next generation is so dang stupid? Stuff like that. I mean, am I off?
Yep.
I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, really quick before I go ahead and
my only thoughts on that were when I saw the guy who had tattooed his eyelids, my first thought was credibility.
Well, nowadays, I guess that kind of look it goes a long way in the culture. I mean, I don't think I have no objections to tattoos. I think there's a little bit of, there might be some overkill, but who's to say, what is overkill? Somebody wants to go ahead and tattoo their whole face and stuff like that. I mean, that is what
his heart seems in the right place.
Yeah, but the tattoo needle didn't. He's like, man, what were you doing, man? Were you watching something else while you tattooing? You tattooing his face, bro. You tattooing his face. But I guess that's the style now. But at any rate, folks, we're not trying to be like fuddy-duddies or anything like that. We understand that there's the importance of using creative media and creative outlet to move a message, not just, always trying to particularly reason with people. I know it seems as easy as 2 + 2 to understand, but when a person doesn't speak that language, sometimes even mathematics, might it being a universal language may still need some help. You know what I'm saying? So at any rate, folks, we hope that you will support us in our effort to move these messages in the culture through creative media and stuff like that. And you can do that by going over to billwhittle.com, become a subscriber, making a one-time donation or anything like that. Make sure you share these videos, all that good stuff. And that way, your kids can watch cool people like us. All right. Right on. Thank you guys for Bill Whittle. I'm Alfonso Rachel, Virtue Signal. See y'all next time.